Hello friends, Cowboy Jobu here with the Jobu Sports Report, and as always, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click over here on the picture of me and Sean Lee so that way you can be a well-informed Dallas Cowboy fan. Well, today we're hearing that the great Herschel Walker thinks that the running back is now back because of Zeke Elliot. Let's go to First Take and see what they have to say about it.
In Texas.
Let's roll
when
the tape.
Tony Romo went down in the preseason, no one thought the Cowboys would have the turnaround that they did, going from 4-12 to 13-3. Now, much of that credit goes to rookies Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke's record-breaking season not only meant the resurgence of the Cowboys as a team, but also the running back position, according to someone who knows a thing or two about that. Herschel Walker saying this: even though they talk about the West Coast offense and all this stuff, to be honest, whenever you want to win the Super Bowl, who do you go to? Or I should say, he should say, who should they go to, right? The running back, because you can pass the ball all you want to. But when you want to win the game, you better be able to run the ball, and you better have a running back. Look who's here, our friend Damian Woody. Good to see you on a Monday. Top of the week.
Everyone?
Better than us. Stephen A., I want to start with you, though. Do you agree with Herschel Walker?
No, I do not. I definitely think there's a benefit to a running game. Certainly, the Atlanta Falcons should have exercised it with Tevin Coleman and Devontae Adams. Coleman rather. There's no question about that. But I will say this: you look at some of the top rushing attacks in the game overall. Buffalo Bills, no playoff appearance. Dallas Cowboys, gone. First playoff game. Didn't win a playoff game this way. By Dallas Cowboys, all Dallas Cowboy fans out there did not win a playoff game again. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, of course, the Tennessee Titans, DeMarco Murray, we all know what he could do, but no playoff appearance. San Francisco, do I need to really get started on the 49ers? And they averaged, they had like 2,019 yards rushing this year. Okay, Atlanta's up in there. Oakland's up in there. You know, New England, even though they had a decent running attack, they didn't win the Super Bowl running the football, I can tell you that much. That was passing the ball. And so I'm not going to poo-poo the significance of a running attack. I get what Herschel Walker is trying to say, but it's a new day, it's a new era. You got to prioritize being able to pass the football more so than running the football in order to be successful in today's NFL.
It's not a zero-sum game. Of course you need to be able to run the football. When you see the numbers like quarterback passes this many times, they don't win. You need to be able to run the football. But the bottom line is, he brings up the West Coast offense, Herschel Walker does, starting with Bill Walsh and the West Coast offense. I mean, Michael Lewis wrote about this in The Blind Side. This was like the cause of celeb in sports for a while. The passing game and the rules changes that followed it, because the league wants more offense, has seen greater and greater returns through the years. In other words, yards per play keep going up for the passing game. You know what's happened to the running game? Flat. Ain't never going to get faster. Human beings are running just about as fast as they can. It's not going to increase your returns. It's like investing in a nice, safe bond. It's going to yield a certain return, and that's it. But the passing attack yields greater and greater returns as time goes on. In fact, our own Ben Alamar in our analytics department at ESPN recently had an article last month or so comparing this Falcons offense, is it the greatest ever, comparing it to the greatest show on turf, for example, and showing that even since that Rams offense, the yields on the passing game have continued to rise. So Herschel Walker's right in the sense that, yes, you need to be able to run the ball. And Bill Polian was on this show telling me, look, the running back makes the line, not vice versa, which surprised me. I'll defer to his judgment. It seems to me the offensive line is very important, but I'm not downplaying the importance of a great running back. I get it, Bill Polian and others, and Herschel Walker. You need to run the ball. But if you want to compare it to the passing game and pretend like it's more important, in fact, not only is it less important, it keeps getting less important relative to the passing game, and that's why they keep passing the ball more and more.
Well, first of all, I have to agree with both of y'all. Defense wins championships. I think we've all seen that in the Super Bowl. Even with the last Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons, part of it, they shot themselves in the foot by not running the football, but what got the Patriots back in the game and ultimately winning it was their defense. They were the #1 team in scoring defense in the league. Now, getting back to the running game. Where things change in the National Football League is when I was with the Patriots, when we played the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, we had that's when the rule changes happened where the league suddenly shifted to the passing attack. That was the focal point of the league because the league wanted more passing. Well, guess what? At that point, the running back position became, I would say kind of irrelevant because guys weren't necessarily versatile, two-way guys that could run the ball and catch the ball. So it really took the lower levels, the collegiate high school level, for guys to kind of, the position started to reinvent itself. So then now you're starting to see guys like Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson from the Arizona Cardinals. These guys come in the league and they can do it all. They can not only
part of the passing attack now.
They are featured in the passing game. These guys not only are adept at running the football, but these guys can line up as wide receivers and run routes like wide receivers. That's why the focal point of the running game is more about the versatility of the running back, not necessarily the running skills of the running back. You look at the New England Patriots. When the last time New England had this stud running back in the backfield? They keep winning championships, but you can go back to Shane Vereen. You can go to Deion Lewis, James White. What do all these guys have in common? They can catch the ball out of the backfield, and that's another threat that a defense has to worry about.
Take this in a different direction, because I appreciate the point that you're bringing up, and I need you to educate me about something. Is it that the NFL has evolved to that level and the collegiate and high school game needs to help it, continue to help it? Or is it that the high school, really the collegiate game itself, has changed to such a degree that it's forced the NFL to make that transition? Which, you're willing to call before the whole, who dictated what is what I'm trying to find
Well,
out.
I think the collegiate level dictated the terms to the NFL because the NFL can only get the players that come through to the NFL. You know what I mean? So with these spread attacks in the collegiate level, these running backs, they're not only good at running the ball again, but you have to be out there and be able to catch the football. So now as the NFL, you have to be able to adjust. So they changed the rules years ago, but now the league has evolved and the running back position it's more versatile now.
You mentioned the greatest show on turf, and we had Marshall Faulk with us at the Super Bowl. And I think definitely over the last few years, and we even looked at in fantasy, now guys are taking running backs first overall, and it was always that we are starting to value it again. And I asked Marshall that question. I said, what do you think it is? Either they think we just have a better crop of talent of late, and that's part of it. But what Herschel's really saying here is that he's pinning this to Ezekiel Elliot.
No.
That he's the one that's revolutionizing the position in terms of bringing it back. Do you think that's fair?
Listen, I'm not going to knock Zeke because I thought Zeke had a great year. There's no question. But let me also say this. You know who was second in the league in rushing this past year? Jordan Howard, who's a fifth-round pick. So, I always say the running back position is the easiest position to assimilate into the National Football League because really it's about just instincts. When it comes to the running back position, it's instincts. It's not like the quarterback position or maybe the wide receiver position or cornerbacks where, it takes refined skill to really excel to the next level. Running backs, either you got it or you don't have it when you come into the league.
I want to ask you one more question about this. Educate me, as Stephen A. said, on this subject, because it seems to me like there are so many offensive packages without a fullback on the field compared to what they use, right? It seems to me that another way to take what he's saying, Herschel Walker's saying here, without pinning it to Zeke necessarily, is it's gone so far in one direction that it needs a little correction. Does the league need a correction? Do teams that want to be successful need a correction back toward the running game, or is that not what's going on?
Well, no. Listen. Here's how the game is won today. Obviously, you need a quarterback. If you don't have a big-time quarterback, you're not going to win. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. That's just the bottom line. Defense wins championship. What the running game does, running games will finish the game for you. So the passing attack gets you ahead. Now you have the running back and the defense to finish it out for you. That's where a guy like Zeke and some of these other premier running backs, that's what they're there for. That's what the Atlanta Falcons failed to do, was run the football.
Yeah.
Once they got up big, they forgot they had two studs in the backfield.
You have to have the balance, though. That's what we're seeing. The successful teams have some balance, and it can be leaned more towards the passing attack, but you got to have a back.
Yeah, but he's not saying about, Herschel Walker isn't saying about balance. He's saying about elevating one category above the other and picking the running game. I don't understand how he can draw that conclusion when we just watched what Tom Brady has done. Now, obviously, you could have still won a Super Bowl had you continued to run the football. We get that, but the bottom line is that when you look at a Tom Brady, when you saw what Aaron Rodgers did to the Cowboys and others prior to the Cowboy win, when you see what Drew Brees continuously does, when you see these kind of things and the way the game has evolved, you're talking about how running backs are used, meaning a dual threat. Herschel Walker is alluding to you strictly running the football, and I don't think that's enough.
But
The
he's
running back's never going to be the face of the league. That's not going to
Yes,
happen
but he's
anymore.
attributing to the turnaround, obviously, to having Zeke there in addition to Dak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Damien,
McFadden was
sticking
there
with
the year
this,
before.
coming up next,
Not bad,
DeMarcus
boy.
Cousins.